Tonight, as I said, Victoria has become the first state to pass legislation that will enable a treaty with its Indigenous population, which I said at the start tonight, numbers 1% of the population of Victoria, around 66,000 people.
24 hours ago, all Victorians had the same rights. 24 hours later, that's all changed. What began as a plan to improve the lives of Indigenous Australians is now a power grab that'll turn the state into two classes.
Think about the title deed to your house. That single piece of paper that says you and you alone own your patch of Australia. It's simple, it's clear, it's the foundation of our entire society. Now, what if I told you that while you were busy working, paying your mortgage and living your life, the government quietly created a whole new type of ownership? A parallel system based not on purchase but on ancestry. A system that has just laid claim to the heart of Australia's second biggest city. And what if I told you this wasn't a negotiation, but a declaration? That a new, unelected body now has the power to make rules and demand consultation over vast swathes of public land. The parks you walk in, the rivers you fish in, the forests you camp in. This isn't a hypothetical. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This happened in Victoria just days ago. While the mainstream media was busy with other things, the Victorian Labor government, still smarting from the nation's decisive no to the voice, pushed through a plan that makes the voice look like child's play. They've opened a Pandora's box of racial politics, legal chaos, and bureaucratic overreach that could change the face of the state forever. And it all started with a piece of legislation that was sold as a step towards unity, but has become the legal trigger for the biggest land claim in modern Australian history. The land grab has begun. This is the story the establishment does not want you to hear. They want you to believe this is just symbolic, that it's just about respect. But we've read the fine print, we've followed the timeline, and we know this is about power. The power to control land, the power to make rules, the power to create a parallel system of governance from which you are excluded. We are the resistance, and our job is to expose the truth the media and the politicians try to hide. If you want to stand with us, if you believe in one law for all Australians, then you need to join our Patreon. It's the only way we can continue to bring you these uncensored, unfiltered reports. The link is in the description. Because what's happening in Victoria today is coming for the rest of Australia tomorrow. So how did we get here? It all started on October 31st, 2025. While most people were thinking about Halloween, the Victorian government was passing the statewide treaty bill. It was hailed as an Australian first, a momentous step towards reconciliation. It sounds nice, doesn't it? Treaty. It conjures images of peace and mutual respect.
And after the legislation passed, the Premier said, "This is how we build a fairer, stronger Victoria for everyone."
But this was no simple peace pipe. This legislation created a permanent, democratically elected body called the First People's Assembly of Victoria. This assembly isn't just an advisory group. The law gives it the power to make substantive rules and requires the government to consult with it on any laws or policies that affect Aboriginal people. It's a permanent race-based parliamentary body created by legislation, not a referendum. It's everything the Australian people rejected in the Voice referendum, but forced on Victorians through the back door. The Liberal opposition saw the danger immediately, vowing to scrap the treaty within 100 days if they win the next election, calling it a system that undermines equality before the law. But they didn't have the numbers. With the help of the Greens, the bill passed. The Trojan horse was inside the gates, and nobody had any idea what was about to come out of it. They didn't have to wait long. Just 10 days after the treaty became law, the land grab began. On November 10th, the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people filed a massive native title claim with the federal court, and the scale of it is breathtaking. This isn't some remote patch of outback. The claim covers most of metropolitan Melbourne. It stretches from the Werribee River in the west to Mount Baw in the east, from the Great Dividing Range down to Port Phillip Bay. It includes the Yarra River, the Dandenong Ranges, Hanging Rock, and countless state parks and forests. The very heart of Victoria. Now, the activists and the politicians will immediately tell you, don't panic, it doesn't affect private property. And technically, that's true. They're not coming for your house. They're coming for something much bigger. They're coming for everything that isn't private property. They're coming for the Crown land that's every public park, every state forest, every river, every public space that is owned by the people of Victoria. Owned by you. And what do they want to do with it? Let's hear it from the elders themselves. Wurundjeri elder Uncle Perry Wandin stated it plainly. Native title is us not taking over, but being able to control Crown land. He went on, we want to be traditional owners of Melbourne. Let that sink in. Control. This isn't about a plaque on a park bench. This is about who gets to make the decisions, who gets to say how the land is used, who has to be consulted before anything can be done. It's a transfer of power from the public, from democratically elected councils and governments, to a specific, racially defined group. The sheer arrogance of this move is stunning, but the incompetence is even worse. In the rush to claim the spoils of the new treaty, a critical detail was overlooked. A huge portion of the land the Wurundjeri are claiming is already being claimed by another Aboriginal group, the Boonwurrung people. You heard that right. We now have two different Aboriginal groups preparing for a legal battle against each other over who owns Melbourne. It's a bitter, ironic mess that perfectly exposes the lie at the heart of this whole process. This isn't about ancient, unbroken traditions. If it were, the lines would be clear. It's a modern political and legal scramble for power and money, a direct consequence of the Victorian government's reckless legislation. They have not only pitted Indigenous Australians against the wider community, but they have also lit the fuse on intertribal conflicts that could bog down the courts and the state in disputes for decades to come. If these groups, who are meant to be guided by ancient law, can't even agree on who owns what, how can they possibly expect the other 6.5 million Victorians to accept their authority? It reveals the entire concept of a single, unified First Peoples as a complete fiction. Instead, the treaty has unleashed a wave of division and conflict, not just between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians, but between Indigenous groups themselves. This is the future Victoria has chosen. A future of endless legal battles, of overlapping claims, of bureaucratic nightmares, and of lawyers getting rich while the public is left wondering who is in charge. It's a system designed for division, not unity. It's a deliberate rejection of the principle of one law for all, replaced by a hierarchy of rights based on race. The government hasn't just opened a can of worms, they've detonated a bomb in the foundations of Victorian society and legal certainty. So what does control of Crown land actually mean for you? Let's be very clear. Crown land isn't just empty space, it's the MCG, which sits on Crown land. It's the Royal Botanic Gardens, it's Albert Park. It's the land under countless government buildings, schools and hospitals. While the claim doesn't affect the buildings, it seeks to control the land underneath them. It means that the Dandenong Ranges, where you go for a weekend hike, could be co-managed by a group you don't elect. It means that a proposal to build a new picnic area in a state park might have to be approved by the First Peoples Assembly. It means that access to rivers and forests could be restricted for cultural reasons that you have no say in. It means a new layer of racialised bureaucracy and red tape is being wrapped around every aspect of public life, potentially grinding development and public works to a halt, while every decision is subjected to a cultural audit. We only need to look to New Zealand and its Treaty of Waitangi to see the endgame. A country now mired in co-governance, where everything from water infrastructure to healthcare is being divided along racial lines. It has created a permanent grievance industry and a constitutional crisis. This is the path Victoria is now firmly on. This is a fundamental reshaping of our democracy. It says that your vote, your voice, and your rights as a citizen are secondary to the ancestral claims of a specific ethnic group. It creates a two-tiered system of citizenship where one group has special rights and powers that others do not. This is not reconciliation, this is segregation. This is not a step forward, it is a giant leap back into a past we fought to leave behind. This was a stealth operation. The Victorian Labor government, in collusion with the Greens, used a moment of national division after the Voice referendum to push through an even more radical agenda at the state level. They learned the lesson from the Voice's failure. Don't ask the people. They knew that if they put this to a referendum, it would be resoundingly defeated, just like the Voice was. So they didn't. They imposed it by legislative force, showing their utter contempt for the democratic will of the people. They are implementing by stealth what they could not achieve by persuasion. It is an arrogant abuse of power. They have created a permanent, race-based political body, and its first act has been to lay claim to the state's capital city, sparking a legal civil war between Aboriginal groups in the process. This is not progress. This is chaos, and it was done without your consent. By supporting this channel on Patreon, you are fighting back against this undemocratic overreach. You are funding the independent journalism that refuses to be silenced by the woke establishment. You are saying no to a future of division and legal turmoil. The link is in the description. Join the resistance before the Australia you know is gone forever. This isn't about black versus white. This is about democracy versus a new form of racial aristocracy. And that is a fight we cannot afford to lose. To see the latest Australian crisis, click this video here.